This episode is brought to you by Cars R Us. Cars R Us is your number one stop shop for purchasing your next vehicle. New or used, lease or finance, any make, any model. Forget about going to the car dealership. Cars R Us goes to you. Think of it as the Uber Eats of car purchasing. Cars R Us delivers to any state in the U.S. Once again, Cars R Us on Instagram. Now back to the show. Bro, you think I'm playing?
Bro, I wasn't expecting that.
Bro, you think I'm playing, but like it really does make a difference in the end, bro. I swear to God. You know how long I'm looking for like the little the little moment.
Makes it easier for you, bro.
Well, that made it easier for you.
Right,
so if you're joining us now, that's literally how we're starting the podcast.
I love it.
If you're joining us now, welcome to the Damonteo podcast. Today we have a very special episode with a very special guest. I think Brandon, I'm gonna let you introduce this one. Since
bro, I was like super excited that
yeah.
she reached back out and like, cause I heard her up a while ago to have you on, cause I felt like it would be a episode that would really impact the people that listen to us, and so, but you're a busy woman, so like we get it, but like I guess you freed up some time, so we're thankful you're here. And
for sure.
If you guys don't know, it's Leslie, like I was
shout
gonna
out
say
Leslie.
I was gonna say like your IG name, but I forgot it. But no, she's a mental health therapist, I want to say.
Yeah, mental health counselor.
Oh, okay,
mental
yeah,
health
and
counselor.
Someone I kind of take that to the heart because I feel like I suffer with certain things like mentally. So like this is an episode that like it's for me. You know what I mean? Like
so
I
think it's for all of us here.
Facts.
We actually tricked you. You're doing a session on
This
Brandon
is a
right
full
now.
session.
This is
Wow.
like
Wow.
this is not a
I
podcast
see,
anymore.
I
This is now a
see.
session on Brandon.
now, but
So how traumatized is Brandon?
bro. Well, today right
On a
now
scale of
like,
one
I'm
to-
going through it as we were talking about before. But no, like I'm actually genuinely excited for this episode because I feel like you have a lot to offer and like a lot of value to give to our listeners. So I'm really glad you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and thank
for
you
sure.
guys for having me. I've
course.
been like watching you guys for a really long time.
And
you guys
I'm gonna
are
say
awesome.
on this, you should start your podcast whenever you have free time. Whenever you have like your life and you need a new challenge. I definitely like encourage you to have your own podcast.
I'm gonna hire you guys then to help me out.
Do it.
We got you.
But yeah. So again, I'm fucking like I'm already gone off this shit. Brandon, where would you say that? Let's set it up for the people, right? So where would you say that this guest comes to us from? Where did you meet her?
Well, I met
So
her
or
through
how did the story come? Because obviously now she's here with us today.
yeah.
But like how what's the story behind why she's here with us today?
I mean, like I said, like to offer value, but like we met each other through
A friend.
like acquaintances, like friends of
Yeah.
friends, and like immediately when I met you, like I was like, damn, like she's very like you're just very enlightened person,
Yeah.
and especially coming from me, cause like I don't get along with people that I meet just like off rip, I'm just weird like that. But yeah, like the minute I met you, I was like, damn, bro. Like she's such a vibe, you know what I mean? She's such a good person. And then just the environment we were in back then, so it was like, just a like jodera.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like you would be a great person to have on the podcast because one, you're not weird, and then two, you can
Good to
keep
know.
and
pass
you
the
can
vibe
keep
check.
conversation
Thank
going,
you very much.
And then obviously with your profession now, and when I met you, I was like, bro, this girl's like what 19 or like 20 or whatever with your about to finish getting your bachelor's and you're like moving on for your master's and stuff like that. It was really like empowering type thing. Like, or I someone younger than me and I looked up to you, and that's like
Aw.
a lot to do type thing.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like, I was like, bro, like this is crazy. Like I'm just going to FIU now and you're basically almost done.
Yeah.
Which is like, I always think that's impressive. You know what I mean? Because most people in high school, like the one thing they care about is partying and going out, when you really just
What
dedicated.
like other people think of them and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of just did your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was definitely tough because saying no to certain things and like even then I would still engage and because you're young and you're trying to find yourself and your identity, and I think that's something that I struggled with for a really long time was identity, and like I thought my identity came from like what I did rather than like who I was at heart, right? So for a long time, like I felt like I needed to be perfect and I needed to do what I felt would be right for the world. Like do your homework and don't go out, right? Like don't talk like this, don't act like that. Like I just had to be like a little like Barbie doll.
Yeah.
And I wanted like validation so much because I wanted to make sure that like I was a good person, right? But then eventually like as you grow, you kind of realize like identity isn't about like what you do at all. Like it's really about who you are and how you treat people and like the impact that you leave on the world.
Yeah. And do you think that's because of how you were raised, like that you wanted to be like basically the perfect, like student or a perfect like child? Like,
I think so. I love my mom, and I think my upbringing was the way that it had to be for me to be who I am now.
Right.
But I think it was a tough one just because I felt from my parents that I would get like praise and like you're such a good kid and we love you, and this when I would do the good things, like when I would get good grades or when I would do the chores or when like I cleaned my room, like that when I did things was when I felt like I got a lot of like, oh my God, you're doing awesome.
Yeah, you got
right?
the validation basically.
Yeah,
you're looking for.
exactly.
Yeah.
So then that's kind of like where I learned like, okay, if I do all the right stuff, then I get all the right praise and all the right validation.
I understand that because like coming up in high school, I was very insecure, like about like how I looked and stuff like that. So when I left, because I would work out during football, like that was the only type of workout I would do. But then when I left,
Already intense.
huh?
That's already really
Bro, and I
intense.
was like, this is how dumb I was. Like when I was in like a senior, I used to think I was fat, so like I wouldn't eat, and then only thing I would eat was like breakfast. So I wouldn't eat lunch. I wouldn't eat like obviously, and then I wouldn't eat after football practice. But football practice was at 3. In the middle of the Miami sun.
Yeah.
We're running like hundreds of pounds, like with the gear on us and stuff like that. So I remember like I would look back at pictures of me and I'm like, bro, I was like kind of sick in the head to like be doing that. But it's because like I felt like I need to look a certain way to get validation, and that's why the gym for me started because I'm like I felt like girls didn't find me attractive. So I was like I want to get like I want to get muscles and stuff like that because that's what girls are attracted to. But now it's evolved into like it's literally like my therapy session.
Yeah.
Like when I go to the gym, people are like, we don't like talking to you because like, you're like, and I'm like, no, it's true because when I get there, I'm very like serious. I'm very focused on what I want to do. Now, this is a good question I wanted to ask you. I think we'll save that for like a little bit later in the pod. But it's just like, when I'm there, I want to work. And I'm really curious, like what your opinion is in the sense of, whatever, I was just asking now.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, you're setting it up. Go ahead.
Like, what do you think it is that when you go in, like, sometimes I'll go into the gym and I'm in a super bad mood. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, don't look at me. Like, I want to do my own thing. And then like, the minute I'm done working out, I can talk to anybody. I can talk for hours. Like, I'm in such a good mood. Like, what do you think that, like what's the reason for that? Like, I've always been curious if you.
Well, that's because, like, actually, when I have, like, clients and people that I know that struggle with anxiety, I always recommend doing exercise because exercise actually releases the happy hormones that you need. So it is actually a way of like coping with it. Not that it cures anxiety or depression or anything like that, but it does give you that boost of like, oh, I feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I leave in such a great mood. I always call somebody on the way home. Like we usually have our talks right after on the way home.
You know what it is? It's like, I feel like I'm evolving from a text person to a call person.
Yeah, super.
Because
We're getting old.
Yeah, like but like type shit. But like type shit for real. Like where I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna call everyone on my way home now because it's like I'm gonna check up on Brandon. How's he doing? George, how's he doing? Whatever. Like, because it's like I don't know. I feel like it's like by text. It's like it's so easy to like. You'd be like, I gotta text this person, like whatever, like, and days go by, and like you're like, yo, I haven't seen you in like whatever.
Forever, yeah. We've only talked through text. Like I remember growing up, like I hated talking on the phone. I was like, bro, why
Me
you calling me?
too.
Like,
It was
text me.
awkward.
Yeah.
It was
and
weird.
And now I'm always calling people.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
what's up, man? Like,
Yeah.
something I could have texted, I call. But it's just like, cause you like hearing this. At least, I like hearing the sincerity in people's voices.
And how they say things, like, cause
Exactly.
you can't misinterpret through call.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
certain things, right?
I mean, I feel like you still can. Like, you don't
Really?
know what gestures and physical, like,
true,
you know,
true.
like, you can't really read their body language.
Like text is even worse. Text
No,
is like,
absolutely.
I feel like it's how you perceive
Yeah,
it. You know what
absolutely.
I mean?
I feel like through text, I sound so mean because I'm just straight to the point. Like, I don't got time to
Exactly, to
make
be-
it sound cute, you know?
I try to add the LOL in the end to make it a little better.
But that's like passive aggressive sometimes.
He puts an exclamation point, like,
Bro, yeah.
it's like, I'm excited about this.
I mean, I do like sometimes I feel like I'm too mean, so
Yeah.
I'll send a voice note like, "Yo, I'm not saying this in like an attitude."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely just
Voice notes is huge. It's been a big,
It's
it's
like,
been a
wait,
come
vibe
up.
check, for real. Hold on. I
But-
didn't mean it like that.
yes.
Kind of going back though, like, tell us a little bit about like how your background, like, where you're from, and kind of just how you grew up and like where that's made you into the person you are today.
So I was born and raised here in Miami. So, but my family, like all of them, are Cuban. So, I struggled a lot with mental health, but I didn't know that that's what it was because growing up in a Hispanic house, like It's very much like, don't worry about it. Like, you don't actually have problems. Like, the kids in Cuba are the ones that have problems because they don't even have food on their plate or a roof over their head, you know? Like, so you that have everything don't have problems. And I'm like, I can still have anxiety and depression. And like, that's what I would struggle with. And I didn't know how to express that because it was just like, I felt ungrateful. Like, oh, wow, like this is just me taking everything that I do have for granted. Like, I must just be a bad person, right? But it was a genuine thing. Like, I think I went into the field because it was finally like, wow, this is what I needed to hear all along. And I wanted other people to feel that way. Like, didn't feel like they were crazy, right? Like, there was something wrong with them for feeling anxious, being depressed, like struggling with an eating disorder, like whatever it was. Like, I feel like Hispanics, they have such a will to like survive and get things done, and like I don't have time to slow down and think about my feelings and like actually feel these things, because if I do, then I'm not gonna get done everything that I need to get done.
Like we don't have like, I think the mentality they try to instill is like, you don't have the luxury of feeling depressed or feeling anxiety. Like,
exactly.
You just gotta go to work.
Exactly.
Do you have siblings in Cuba? Or like
No.
a family in Cuba?
No, I mean, I have 2 half brothers from my dad's side of the family.
All right, yeah, because I have siblings in Honduras, and my mom, like, you know, growing up, she's like, your brothers like would kill to have to be in your position today. Like, you got to work hard.
Imagine hearing that though, like when you're like 8, you're like,
I know.
like bro,
Like,
I just wanted like.
Yeah, you just want validation. Just tell me things are gonna be okay and hear me out and give me a hug and let it be. But even like, and imagine when you're going through the phase of like teenager where you're finding identity and what you're being told is like this other person is like deserves it, or this other person is better, or this person like would be killed to be in your shoes. Like, it's comparison. So then you learn like to look to the sides, and that's where you start comparing yourself. Like, oh, this person's doing this must be the right thing. This person's doing that must be the right thing. Like, why am I not doing that? Why don't I look like that? Why don't I think like that? Why don't I have that calling? You know, like, and that's where comparison really creeps in. And like, I don't think that our parents do it to hurt us, because I think they love us so much that they think that putting a Band-Aid on it is the solution. Don't worry about it, sweetie. Like, no. You know, but I think it does end up impacting you along the way, like, eventually.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I always go to my experiences because, you know, having my siblings in Honduras, and then my mom, like, me growing up, she still works as a housekeeper for the same families that she's always worked for. And one family I'm particularly really close to, like, I basically learned how to do everything I do now because of them. So I consider them family. But she would always like compare me to them, basically. And I would always subconsciously, like, now I think about it, I'm like, damn, like, I would do certain things because she told me, like, why don't you be more like them?
Wow.
You know what I mean? But like, I mean, at a certain time, you kind of just gotta realize, like, you're not them. You have different circumstances. You gotta do what's good for you. Yeah. Basically, and I would see myself like trying to be like them, and I'm like, later on I realized, I'm like, damn, what am I doing, bro? Like, kind of ruining my own life. You know what I mean?
You're trying to be somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it goes to me, like, when I think about right now you said your calling, basically, right? That's something like I deal with now. Because, like, you know how I told you I wish I would have taken school a little bit more seriously? I chose a career path at the time that I thought I liked, and it's criminal justice. Like, I'm very open on this podcast about, like, my life, basically. I generally don't care. But because I want to impact somebody that maybe is going through the same thing as me and try to help them. But I chose a career that, like, didn't really necessarily work out for me now. And then I had a little point in time where I was, like, lost. I was like, I don't know what I wanted. Like, it was generally like, I would really get in my own feelings, because I'd be like, damn, bro, like, I worked so hard to try to get this, and then the degree I got, like, has literally nothing to do with the career I want, and nothing. Yeah. But, like, thankfully, I have the right people around me. Yeah. To where, like, they never, like, made me feel, like, I guess, lower of myself, or, you know what I mean? They just always, like, they've been, like, his girlfriend, right? Basically wife, that's what I call him.
The sweetest girl ever.
Bro, she's like an angel. Yeah, you know what I mean? She truly. Like, I remember one day I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm done kind of going for like this career path. Like, I'm going to try new things. And then like a little while ago after that, she hit me. I was like, hey, I think you should take a look at this career. I think you can succeed in it. And then, but like, it wasn't just that I'm grateful for, but then other things she did that I'm like, damn, like, this is like, I always think of it like, this is God sending me somebody that is like trying to make my life better, basically. So.
And
I don't know why I went on
that
people
like that.
That's why she's the GOAT.
Yeah,
yes,
she really is.
She
Shout out
is.
Mandy, bro. She really is the GOAT. And she basically put me onto like script now. Like, I'm trying to go for that and like working really hard for it. So yeah, I don't know why I went on that right now.
No, I think that's good, and
yeah.
I'm
That's
glad
how-
that you have.
Yeah, literally.
I'm glad that you have somebody like that, and I'm gonna speak life over you right now because your again identity and who you are isn't connected to whatever you study, Brandon. Like it isn't connected to your degree, and it isn't connected to what you're doing right now. Again, it's not about what you're doing; it's about who you are, and you are somebody that lightens up a room. Like you make people feel comfortable. You speak life over people. You're extremely positive. Like it's hard to be in a bad mood around you. And I think like that's more important. And that's more telling of who you are at the core than anything else.
Damn, you just gassed me up. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But let's go back to you, because it's not about me. You know what I mean?
It's not,
But-
this is turning
but
into
thank
Brandon's
you.
section.
It's about
The joke you
us.
did at first is really
You thought I was kidding? I worked this behind the scenes. This is your session.
So, I feel like you have answered, but like, what made you like go into the career path you're in now? Like, what made you study what you wanted to study now? Like, what was like the main reason?
It was tough because I always knew that I wanted to do something to help people, but I never knew like what. And I think as I kind of went on and I got older and I started kind of like actually working through a lot of the things that I had gone through and like what I was feeling, that's where I felt like a very strong connection to psychology. And I think it was just a lot of things clicking for me, you know, of like, oh, that's why I felt this way. Oh, this is why I think of myself this way. Oh, this is why. And I think I never had somebody that would guide me and help me and validate my feelings and like mentor me, right? And so I always felt like that's what I needed to do, right? And whatever way and whatever outlet God wanted me to do that through, like that's what I wanted to do. And I think He made it clear that I was meant to kind of shine the light and to help people through healing, you know, because that's what therapy is. It's just healing.
Yeah.
And it's not me giving advice and it's not me telling you what to do. It's really me just like, let's work through why you think this way and let's work through why you act this way and why you feel this way.
Bro, I feel like that's so needed too. Like, especially living in a city like Miami.
Yeah.
Like specifically.
that was
Like-
one of the questions.
Yeah.
Like, do you think like at least a lot of people here need therapy because of the like the
city they
toxic
live in,
environment?
Yeah, like,
I think everyone
Yeah.
needs therapy. I don't
Yeah.
think therapy can do anyone wrong, right?
Right.
Like I think anybody can like benefit from therapy, even if it's like I'm not depressed, I'm not anxious, like I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Like it's just having someone that you're like, here I've taken in all of this stuff from throughout the week and from work and from my family and from my friends, and like let me just leave it here and let's process that and that's it. You know, like it's kind of just like being a punching bag. Like
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like everybody's punching bag. You come, you throw some punches, and then
People need it.
you leave, you leave relieved, right? And then I have my own therapist, which I go do that too.
that was another question. Rick. I was just about to ask you. It's like, where do you go to like to,
My therapist.
your therapist?
Yeah.
Is it someone you work with, or you go to somewhere else?
No, somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
feel like it's a conflict of interest if it's
Yeah,
like someone.
exactly.
Yeah.
Look at him with
Damn.
the psych terms.
All right.
But no, it's because I feel like kind of like how you're saying, like you don't really need like a reason. I feel like you don't really need a reason to go to, like, it doesn't need to get to a point where it's bad
Yeah.
for you to have to go to it.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it looks different for a lot of people. So like, for example, for me, I don't go to therapy. I have nothing against it, but just for me, like I guess my form of therapy is like we were talking about Mandy earlier, heaven sent, because so what we do is like we at least try to go like on like 3 times a week or like twice a week on these like walks, and I'm talking about these are like we're getting 10K steps in.
Bro, I said I was
These are
like,
some
I'm
intense
not trying to
walks.
get a,
It is.
I was like,
It's
I'm not trying to
10K
get a
steps.
girlfriend to the point where I do that. Like, he drives like 45 minutes to go on like a 20-minute walk. I'm like,
It's not
bro.
20 minutes.
Whoa, okay,
It's,
okay.
it's like 4
It's like-
miles.
Oh, okay,
it's like
okay.
4.
I thought it was like a 20 minute. I was like,
No,
yo,
no,
like
no.
you're like,
No.
you really love this girl. Like,
Well,
as
10K steps is about 4 miles. So
Okay. I
10K
give you that.
steps.
That's insane.
Yeah.
and
that's
that's a lot of talking.
yeah, exactly.
So it's like that's how we kind of like kind of check up on each other and like kind of see like where you at mentally, like where am I at, and
That's
then
so
kind of
good.
like so it's like that's the reason I don't go right now, but I'm also not opposed to it. Like I would be down to go even together.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like it doesn't have to like look the same for everybody
Yeah,
either.
at all. It doesn't. I think it looks different for all my clients, and it
Yeah.
looks different. I feel like every therapist that I've gone to, I've been in a different season of my life, and so what I need is different. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I need to help with sadness, or sometimes I need help with like fear because like my imposter syndrome will kick in, and like things like that, where it just depends on the season that
Yeah.
you're in. And I think we go through different
Yeah.
seasons even within 1 year, right? Because different things will come up and life throws different things at you, and it's just a matter of being able to work through and talk through those things. And I feel like each season brings a different result,
Yeah.
right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
I haven't been the same after every season because I learned something new either about myself or
Right.
about life, and it changes you.
Yeah. Why do you think therapy is so like so hard to get? I guess.
Hard to get.
Like
Yeah, like why
not
is
as-
it?
not
Why
as-
is the
as
barrier of
accessible?
entry to it? Yeah, it's not as accessible. Like I mean, I feel like it's gotten maybe better
gotten
with
better.
like better help.
Yeah,
and
like,
stuff the
for
online
my
stuff.
my job
Online.
offers like so one thing that they did this year, or at least since I started, was they give you a free subscription to like Calm, and they kind of like
Oh,
they
yeah.
do that, and then I think they have a BetterHelp one too. Like they pretty much either take off some like of the subscription on BetterHelp, or they just I think it's free. I'm not having
That's
looked into it. I
awesome.
should,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's some way that like even jobs are starting to notice like, hey, like if this guy's happier, he'll probably stay and work better.
Yeah,
better,
and do
yeah.
a better job.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like kind of taking care of like the people who take care of you.
Yeah.
But like you're at a job though, like where they do that. Like most
Yeah.
jobs don't. And I feel like where mental health is really needed is like in impoverished type of
Yeah.
communities. You know, like growing up, how we said like not just Hispanic households, but I think just anybody who grows up in poverty, like you don't have
Yeah.
the luxury of going to a therapist.
Yeah.
Like, so why do you think like stuff that's good for you is always like the most? Because like I think of like the gym when it comes to like eating healthy. The number one people tell me is like, damn, but it's so expensive.
It is so expensive to eat healthy.
It
Going
is.
to Whole Foods,
Bro,
That hurts my wallet.
you're telling me, bro.
You guys shop at Whole Foods. I still shop at Walmart. I get all my stuff from Walmart. Like,
but Walmart is
I'm a-
upgrading.
Yes,
too. It has
low-key,
some
like-
healthy stuff.
I'm a Costco guy.
well, the one luxury I do spend my money on is Wild Fork Foods for the meats.
Oh my god,
because they have
it's
like,
the best.
amazing.
I don't know if you
quality
do you
meat.
meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Try it. Try it.
Do I
Well,
look like a vegan? Do
I don't
look
know.
like a vegetarian?
I
Do
honestly
give up
don't
that
know.
vibe?
I'm
Now
not
that you don't know,
assuming.
though,
I'm
you
not
gotta ask.
assuming.
You gotta be.
I'm not gonna label you. But yeah, no, that they whatever. We'll talk after.
But no, like I've always really wondered that, and like I think Chad was the one that opened that question up on I Am Athlete. I remember a long time ago, and I thought about it. I was like, damn, therapy really is. Because I remember I tried to get one. I was like, I looked at the price. I was like,
No,
I
it's
can't
tough.
afford
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think now we have more awareness of it than ever. So I think insurances are now covering mental health to a certain extent, which is a good thing. But yeah, but like therapy is expensive.
super like.
And that's why like it's tough, and
Yeah.
it's not even like the prices because maybe like, insurance will cover it, but do they have a transportation to get to the session? Like, does their job allow it? Because
Yeah.
then the therapists don't usually work on weekends, and if they do, like, are they able to go on weekends? Like, it's hard,
Yeah.
like
It's a lot,
anything.
yeah. Like, cause I like the minute I get like my career, like a good amount of my money will go to therapy because like I'm a huge like active for it. Like I feel like everyone should get it in general,
Yeah.
just because, yeah, like he said, it'll help you better in life, like with everything you look at, basically. But
So okay, so we kind of talked about like growing up, and we kind of had the same experience of like maybe your parents kind of dismissed your kind of not complaints, but like when you were bringing something up to them, like, oh, I'm feeling stressed about this, they kind of make you feel guilty about it, right? So what was like the thought? So like if you were to bring up something to your parents growing up, like what was the kind of thought in your household? Because at least for me, it was kind of the same as you explained earlier, where it's like, well, your cousin in Cuba doesn't have like all this, so it's like it was like a weird way of like guilt tripping it. So and like obviously like as time has gone on, I know they didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
But it's also like I guess trying to break that curse for like the next generation is like kind of like how would you suggest handling that? Like if your kid were to come up to you and be like, hey, look, like I don't know, I'm just feeling like overwhelmed or like whatever.
Yeah.
Like what's something that you, as like a parent or someone, maybe not even a parent, but like a brother or something that you could do?
So if you went up to your mom and you told her you were overwhelmed, like what would you need in that moment? Like when you go and you tell your mom that, like what is it that you're asking for?
I feel like
let's try to think of like high school
I feel like
or just in general.
I don't know. I feel like in general, I was just like, para desahogarme, like to like kind of just like,
Yeah.
like
Why is I'll give you one. Like, why is my life not going like how all my friends
Yeah.
are? I feel
You're
like that's a
asking
good
your
one.
mom that?
Yeah, like why is like yeah, I guess I would ask my mom that. I'm like, why is my life so different?
So
compared
what
to-
would you want your mom to say in that moment?
I don't know, kind of give me like comfort me, I
Yeah.
guess, or like try to.
Yeah. And I think I always ask that because I think it depends on what you need. Like if I go to my mom and I say I'm really, really anxious, like what I need is for her to give me a hug and tell me like, don't worry, I got you. right? Because I just want confirmation that even if the worst case scenario happens, I still have somebody like backing me up.
Oh, okay.
So I think everyone's need from
Right.
their parents is different depending on what they're approaching them for. So I think for parents, I think they always want to go into like problem solving, and sometimes like literally all we need is just for them to listen and be like, don't worry about it. Like everything's gonna be okay. If it's not, we'll figure it out, right? Like you're safe. It's gonna be fine. Right, but I think sometimes they like don't know how to solve the problem. So then they're like, no, it's fine. Like you don't have a problem, right?
Yeah.
Because then like like, but it's like, no, I don't need a solution. Like I just need you to give me a hug and comfort me and
Like reaffirm.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's it.
It's also, I feel like they're dealing with their own, like,
That's true.
Exactly.
like, because
Exactly.
if we think like, oh damn, like they didn't listen to me. Imagine their parents,
Yeah.
where they were
Bro.
like, there's always
Yeah.
a generation before where it's like you can't complain because you had
My
this.
grandparents, they don't. What? They didn't even care about
Bro,
therapy or something. They didn't,
I've
they didn't
heard
have
this-
that.
But they couldn't, right?
Yeah,
that
they
wasn't
didn't
a
know-
thing.
yeah, that wasn't
it
a thing,
wasn't,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So,
crazy.
You know how many times
it
I've heard the
is.
story of like that my great grandma and her uncle and her brothers used to eat like 3 potatoes a day or like 2 potatoes a day, and that was, I'm like, bro, like I'm just hungry, like I don't know what to
I'm
tell you.
sorry, bro.
Like I don't know what to tell you.
I just eat my French fries.
Different era.
Yeah, like I'm just like I don't know, like we're not in those times anymore.
So since we're talking about like handling things, I guess, like you in the profession you do, like listening to like your clients, how do you deal with, like besides going to your therapist, like how do you like handle like when you hear like tough things?
Like does it weigh a lot on you?
Yeah,
Like
does
do
it
you
weigh
bring
a
it
lot on
home
you?
sometimes, or is it like?
Sometimes it's hard not to, because I think you form a connection with anyone that is coming to you and venting to you and is being vulnerable with you. Like, I think it's hard for me to leave my heart at the door and be like, this is just my job. Like, no, like I genuinely care about each and every person, like that not even just my clients, like anybody that is coming to me and sharing with me and talking to me, like I have a heart for them. And so it's hard to kind of just be like, nah, I don't care, and like on the weekends, like not think about them. Like, no, like it's funny because things will remind me of them and I'll think of them and I'll be like, oh wait, this would be a good thing to talk about. This would be a good thing to do with them. Like, so it's hard not to leave work at the door, but I think what's really kept me grounded is like my relationship with God. Like, I think that's where every time that I feel like, okay, wait, I'm carrying a burden that's not mine, like I need to give it to him. And so I go to him and I pray, or I'll worship, or I'll like reach out to somebody in the community, like at my church, and be like, I need some help, I need prayer, and like I think that's what's kept me on solid ground when like I have so much going on and like so much things that I'm carrying.
Have you always been like in faith and religious, or was this because like I did notice you would post a lot like about church and your faith. So like, is this something new, or is this something you've always done and just now you've kind of made it more public?
No, actually. So I was like raised Catholic, but like the kind of Catholic where we never went to church. Like I think we would
Present.
we would
Right
go
here.
on Easter.
I went one
and,
time
like,
to pray for my uncle to get. I prayed for my uncles to come from Cuba, and that was it.
It worked, and that's it.
He
Like,
got
you
here, we
have to
stopped
go
going.
back to church. So yeah, like I never went
Yeah.
to church. I never read the Bible. Like nobody really told me about God or what it was or who He is. Like nobody explained any of that to me. So I look back at it now, and I think God was always calling on me. Like I look back at it now, like, and one day that I was moving out of my house, when I finally moved out, like I was clearing everything up, and under my mattress was a picture of God, and like I never even knew that was there.
Oh,
You know,
is it?
like
That's
that
crazy.
to me was like, whoa, like
Yeah,
He's been
like,
with me this whole time. I've had this bed forever, since I was a little girl. So I think He had always been calling on me. I just obviously didn't know it, and I didn't understand it. So you can get into something you don't understand. And I think it took me being at like my lowest ever, like rock bottom, for me to actually say like I need to try something that I haven't tried. Like I need to pursue something that I haven't pursued before, because nothing else that I've done and nothing else that I'm doing is working. And at that point I was already in therapy, so, and I was still at my lowest, and like I feel like I had nothing motivating me, nothing to hold on to, and life just became really heavy. And so I think that's what pushed me to be like, I'm just gonna try this, right? So I had at that point like somewhat of a relationship with God, but I still hadn't read the Bible. I didn't I would pray when I needed prayer, because like it was a way of me like letting it out, and that was good.
Right.
But like not because I understood or had given my life to God. And I gave my life to God in 2021 after like a horrible, devastating like breakup.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like damn, because that's like a hard subject to touch on, but for me, sometimes I look at people like I feel like they do stuff for like attention, sort of thing, and I feel like I don't know, like you generally went through that, like you went through some like real things, and so like that generally helped you. And you see the help it did for, because now like you consistently go and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever like notice people that are there for like the wrong reasons, like at food church, or like is that like subjective? Like,
It's hard because I think we are all broken people.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we're
yeah.
all sinners, even
Yeah.
people in the church. And so sometimes like God has to do a work in our heart that doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen just because you go to church.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a continual thing. Like God's always doing something in you. Like I've been in the church for 2 years, and I feel like God's still doing stuff in me that I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know you could still do that. Like, I didn't even know that this was still there, that this resentment was still there, that this guilt was still there, that this shame was still there. Like, I think it's a process. It's a lifelong process of, like, him trying to transform you more into his image. Because that's who you were made to be. But so many years of being in this fallen world and, like, going through the stuff that you go through that impacts you and tarnishes you, like, it's hard for that to happen just out of nowhere. So I think there are people in the church that still need like God, like we all need God. So that doesn't change just because you show up on Sundays.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a continual thing.
I was gonna say, I was like, because I feel like you just see people post it for like the like, because in my opinion, I feel like it's become like a trendy thing to go to church, which is good in a sense. But I don't know, like because I want to go, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I don't want to be looked at as like, oh, you're just doing this because like basically everybody's doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just
I
because
feel like that doesn't like happen with church though. I don't know. So I feel like once you're there, and I'm gonna like, get back to it so you can finish.
No, yeah, you're good.
But I feel like with like church, like even if you're there for the wrong reason, I feel like you have good intent, like by going.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
But-
even if you don't, like even if you're literally going because you want to take a picture when you walk out, like God's still going to
Yeah.
meet you there.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of God, that it doesn't matter what you do or what your intentions are, like he knows those intentions. He knows your heart.
Yeah.
And so he's after you and he meets you right where you are. Like when I went, like I didn't know what to expect, and I was going in with doubt, and I was going in with fear, and I was going in with like I don't even know if this is going to be like what I like is going to be good for me, you know? Like I went in I went in alone and clueless.
Yeah.
Like it was
Like you went by yourself?
by myself, like because at the time I couldn't get any of my friends to go with me. So one day I was just like, I need it. Like I know I need something.
Bro, I've been so scared to go by myself.
Brandon, I'll
I'm
go
like,
with you.
Seriously?
I'll go with you,
I'm so
Brandon.
serious.
Let's go.
You can go
Right
with
now.
me.
Right, I feel weird hitting people up like, yo, can I go to church with you?
Oh
I don't know.
my
That's just
gosh.
my own insight. Like I really do. But like I've been wanting to go like on Sundays specifically, because Sundays like usually like I go to Key Biscayne and I just sit on the beach for a little bit. Like I run, because working out has always been like my therapy. But like, and then I chill on the beach for a little bit.
That's
and, like,
nice.
I look at the water and stuff like that. But then sometimes I think I'm like, damn, I kind of want to go like. I just want to be in that environment. I don't know why. Like, just I feel like it'll help me. Because I wouldn't say I'm at a low point, because I'm generally happy.
Yeah.
Like in my life, and I'm happy with the people I'm around, surrounded by. But it's just like I don't know. I feel like something's missing in a sense. Like I don't know, something's not right in a sense. So like I don't know.
You feel like something could be added or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
something's,
definitely, like-
not that something's missing maybe, but it's like there could be something more maybe.
And I always attribute it to maybe because I'm not in my career yet. Because like I like the jobs that I do now, like I just like not petty jobs, but they're just not definitely what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm a very purpose driven person.
Yeah.
In a sense of like I need something that like that's meaningful, something that's bigger than me in a sense.
I feel you.
And that's why like very minimalistic, like I attribute the gym to that. Like the gym is like not just for me, but it's just like maybe I can inspire people at the gym. And that's why I always feel good when people like a young guy the other day came up to me in the gym and he's like, hey, I'm really sorry to bother you, bro, but like I've been meaning to ask you this for a while, but like, do you mind if I work out with you?
Wow.
And I was like, and it was the middle of my workout, so I was like, I'm almost done, but if you want, take my number down and we'll work out. Like,
Look
hit
at
me up.
that.
And work. He did. He hit me up the next day. We worked out together, and when he was telling me his life, I was like, damn, like, this is like the younger me in a sense, because he was like, same thing happened to him. He wanted to be in the military. He dropped out of boot camp because some like medical thing, like that was out of his control, and he was like, bro, I was like genuinely lost for a little bit, like, and I still kind of am, but like I'm feeling better, this and that. So it's like the fact that I did that, I'm like, I kind of want to like just be in an environment where that's like a main thing, like just trying to help people, you know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, going to church like can bring more of that out of me, because sometimes I see myself like being not a bad person, but like in a pissy mood, and I take it out on people, and I hate that because I feel like my mom's like that a lot. You know, not to trash my mom. You know what I mean? But
You're trying to break, you're trying to break
like,
the curse. Or like
I
break
talk
the,
about this with my friends all the
break the
time.
cycle.
Like some of the bad attributes my mom has, I see it in myself.
Yeah.
And I
But
try to
that's
nip it in the
everybody,
butt.
At least you have the awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I was saying, I feel like that's everybody though, because like
Yeah.
I look at my parents and I'm like, oh, I have certain things from them that like I wouldn't want to keep going with,
Yeah.
but it's like you just gotta work on yourself with it.
Yeah. Guys, we repeat what's familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
So if that's what's familiar, we're just gonna think that that's. And when we're younger, we feel like our parents are perfect, so anything they do is right.
Bro, what
Holy
you're talking about? Like I usually think I'm like, bro, they have it figured out.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm having the last like couple months I moved like further away. He was kind of touching on it, but I used to live like kind of the Gables area, and now I live like in fucking South Kendall, like by Casa Carajo.
Wow.
Like yeah. So, but kind of like a blessing that's come from it is like I have a better relationship with my mom now, because I'll drive her to work. So
that's
I
so
talk
sweet.
with her like 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes like when we just talk. Sometimes we
Yeah.
just play Bad Bunny, like, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I'm just like this is the guy right now.
the fact that your mom likes Bad Bunny is
I
like
know. That's
I don't know if she
pretty
likes
my
fire.
mom
it, but
hates Bad Bunny.
I don't
bro.
know if she likes it, but I have aux. So
So
yeah,
you gotta do it.
So do you want to ride or not?
This
But-
is the price.
Yeah. But I feel like that's like one of like the blessings that's come from like change, and I feel like sometimes we're afraid of change too. Like
Yeah.
you were saying like that you feel like sometimes you're not like you feel like you're in a weird spot because you're not in your career. I want to say that doesn't change, because I might be entry level into my career, I guess, but I still feel like I'm like, not that something's missing, but I'm like there's something that
More to
that
work
that and I feel like it's like something that you don't see, because like for me, where it's the gym for you, this is it for me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, there's something here that like I maybe like I don't see it, but certain times like we'll have those moments where, and we talk about them on the phone. We're like, yo, like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like we get into like these rooms or these conversations with people that it's like kind of like, bro, I didn't know I wanted to do, like when we started this like 2 years ago on and off, like we were just kind of like, it was just us talking like whatever.
Yeah, it literally started off as just us talking about guy stuff.
And it was like, it was during COVID when it was like,
Guy talk.
yeah, it was during COVID when we were like just talking because we were trying to catch up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then it turned into like something way bigger, and now it's like, you talk about like finding a purpose. Like I feel like the last year especially, it was like, it was super clear for us, and I feel like, I don't know, like for me at least, this is what like has,
like
I don't know, like
filled in that
has filled
like,
in that spot.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I feel like there's always gonna be like that, like
Yeah.
that. Oh, there's something more.
Yeah.
I feel like you're always gonna have that.
I feel like that as well, but it's just like the part where it gets me is because like one thing I respect about him is like he from the jump said like I don't like school is not for me, you know, like at least traditional school, because you ended up going to an actual advertising school.
Yeah.
And then but like I saw the change, right, like because I met you before you even
before I
enrolled
started
in-
it.
Yeah, exactly. So when he went through it, and then like I saw the progression, and then he got the job that he really wanted.
It took a fucking
And-
chance.
Congrats.
You're talking about a chance.
Yeah, like that risk he took, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like
I left a safe job pretty much for like an internship that paid like a little bit about the same, but it was like there was no guarantee. It was like,
it's like a leap of faith.
yeah. But I was telling him because we would talk about it, and I'd be like, yo, like I'm gonna take this risk because I have to know what's on the other side. Like I have to
Exactly.
know like what can come from it, and if
Yeah.
like worst case scenario, if I don't get the job at the end of the internship or whatever, like I'll still be where I was before.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever. Like I'm just gonna go 100% into it, and I did. I told you.
Good for you.
Dude, and we kind of have these talks like the same way. We're like, yo, like whatever you do, just go 100%.
Yeah.
yeah. And that's why like I was like looking for that for like the longest, because I'm like when I'll say like when the police thing didn't happen, I was just like I was kind of like genuinely lost, and I
Yeah.
was like, damn, what can I like? Because I know like when I find something that I genuinely like love,
Yeah.
I become obsessed with it. Like that's what like I always go back to the gym. I'm sorry, like I'm a one-dimensional person right now. but like with the gym, I became so obsessed with like wanting the perfect body that like that's literally all I thought about. So
Yeah.
I was like, I know that if I find that one thing, like job-wise or career-wise, I know that I'll be successful at it because the minute I find it, I'm gonna go like all in on it.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel about the choice I'm going with now. And then that's how I feel about this pod now, right? Especially when we did the move to niche of Latino culture. I genuinely love it because I've always been like very Latino, like pride, like very like proud of my heritage, proud of my parents. Like my mom came to this country as an immigrant, like raised me by herself, didn't take like government help, anything like that.
Wow.
Because she just never believed it. My mom like loves to say she's Democratic, but I'm like, bro, you're a conservative at heart. Like, shut up.
Hey, she's like, I don't believe in government.
She just never wanted, because I would always tell her like, bro, like,
Yeah.
food stamps are there, like it can help us with this, and she never wanted to do any of that. But that was like a sidetrack. But yeah, like I feel like once you find like a purpose, like I was listening to a podcast the other day of like men without a purpose are very like guys that you don't want to be around. And I've met people like that, and then you kind of notice it in them. And sometimes you want to, like, do you ever feel like you want, like, as a clients, right? Do you ever meet people that like don't have like that purpose, or no?
I think purpose comes with identity, right? And so, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. Like, I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't know if that was my purpose, right? Like, I didn't know what my purpose was being here and why I was placed on this earth and why I was called to do what I was doing. Like, I didn't know what my purpose was. And I think, to a certain extent, like, I still question it. Like, is this what my purpose is? Am I doing that? Am I fulfilling that? And I think it changes, again, through seasons. Your purpose is always the same, but it can look differently, and the way that it's like delivered can look differently. But at least for me, like, I felt like I couldn't fill a void with my career because then I was doing it for the wrong reasons. Like, it would be filling me instead of like wanting to pour out to people, right? So I had to realize that like I was trying to I think we do it with anything. Like, we can do it with the gym, we can do it like with careers, we can do it with our family, we can do it with friends, a relationship, we can do it with like alcohol, drugs, whatever. Like, we try to fill a void that, at least for me, like couldn't be filled without God, you know. Like, that's where I felt like, okay, you know what, I feel whole, I feel complete, and now I can show up differently in the world, and I can show up differently in a relationship, I can show up differently with my family, I can show up differently with my clients.
That's what I'm like. I feel like that's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's what I'm basically searching for. Like, something that like isn't like not materialistic in a sense, but like, or for other people is like more for me. Yeah. And like find something that generally makes me happy. In a sense. So now you spoke a little bit on dating. Like, how is it dating as a therapist, like as a mental health
Do you find yourself like counseling like your partner? Like
oh man,
like
everybody asks me
is that a struggle?
Like, are you psychoanalyzing me right now? I think everyone has asked me that ever. Like, every time I've dated someone or I've gone on dates with somebody, like I always get the same question, like, are you psychoanalyzing me right now? I'm like, no, dude, my therapist hat is off. Like, I don't want to do that right now.
I'm a normal person.
Bro, I just want to go out right now.
Like, I just want to eat these chicken wings. Like, leave me alone, you know? Like, but I think to a certain extent, like, it's hard not to, because I feel like if I were to like be a different person going into the therapist's office than I am showing up in a relationship, like there would be like I don't know, like it wouldn't be parallel. Like I wouldn't be me. So to a certain extent, like I carry myself into the therapist's office. So I carry myself into a relationship, and I can't not know the things that I know and like the tools that I know and the skills that I know and like the awareness that I have. Like, I can't not apply it. But I think there has to be boundaries of like, this person isn't my client, like this person is my partner, and I'm not here to fix them, I'm not here to work on them, I'm not here to heal them. Like, I'm here, like, do you contribute to me? Do I contribute to you? Like, do our values align? Do our morals align? Like, that's what I'm looking at now. Like, do you have bipolar disorder? Like, are you schizophrenic? Like, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for like, how do you show up? How do you communicate? Like, when we get into a fight, like, how do you treat me? Like, how do you treat me when you're angry? How do you treat me when you're sad and you're depressed? Like, what does that look like? Do you prioritize other things over this relationship? Like, you know, like, how do you manage your life and with me, you know? And I think that's more important than like, because I feel like you can work through somebody with anxiety. Like, I have anxiety, so like if that would be like a red flag for somebody else, I'd be like, well, like, take it or leave it, you know? Like, what am I gonna do about it? And it's not that I'm like, I'm a victim and you have to take me as I am. Like, I'm actively working on it, but sometimes it's like I can't help it. You know, like we all feel anxious at sometimes. We all feel sad.
Yeah, everyone has like that moment where they're just like, bro, like I just need to like blow some steam out.
Exactly.
Bro, I get so anxious before interviews. I don't know what it is. Like, not just these. I'm talking like job interviews. Sometimes I've
yeah.
had jobs in the bag, and I'm like, in the interview, I overthink.
They'll tell you like
Yeah.
this is secured.
Yeah,
like Brandon, your name is on the it's on the employee of the month. Like
He's like, nah,
He's like-
dude,
he's like,
hold
bro,
on.
yeah. I was like, I don't know.
type, yeah.
The way I answer this question, I don't know. But bro, do you feel like you have like the? But I know you're like you try not to, right? But I feel like you as a therapist, you have like the cheat sheet to find red flags. like have you ever been on a date with somebody and then you're like, oh, red flag.
Like I could tell this is not gonna.
Yeah, I was like, something's not.
I mean,
right
yeah,
here.
but I think we all have that ability
Yeah.
because I think everyone's red flags are different depending to who you are, right? Like somebody being like very talkative might be a red flag to somebody because they're like, oh, I can't get a word in. But to me, I'm like, dude, you can talk, I can talk. Like, that's awesome. So I think everyone's red flags are different depending on their experience, right? So I have red flags. I think we all have red
Yeah,
flags
I
because to other people, they're going to be like, oh, that's not my cup of tea, you know? And that's okay.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel like I walk in and I'm very much aware of like, that's not for me, but like, this person's great, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it'll be great for somebody else.
But just not me.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you because I feel like this changes over time, and I feel like for me it has changed a lot over time, especially like with like the talks I'll have sometimes with Mandy on those walks where it's like you're really like, because sometimes I'll feel like I'm in my own head,
Yeah.
and then she'll look at something from like her perspective and be like no, like this is actually like you've been stressing about this for a while, like it actually means something to you. It's not just like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like it's gotten better over time, but like, what's your relationship with yourself like? Where you're like, kind of like, I don't know, because I feel like sometimes we can be hard on ourselves.
Oh,
So it's like,
I'm like number
Yeah.
one of that.
yeah.
I feel like my expectation for myself is so high.
Yeah.
But and again, I think that comes from like when I was younger, having to be perfect and like thinking that I needed to be perfect. And so I think I still am pretty hard on myself. And I think like when I make a mistake, like it can be very debilitating because I'll get stuck on it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I could have done better. Like I knew better and I didn't do better, you know, like, but I think I've gotten to a healthier point now where I can give myself a little bit more grace. And I think I have people in my life that show me that, right? Like I think
Yeah.
if we have people around us that are hard on ourselves, like are hard on you, you're gonna be even harder on yourself, you know? And I think sometimes like I have those voices around me that are so kind and so caring that they're like, that's okay. Like you
Yeah.
can come back from this. Like that's okay. Like this doesn't define who you are, you know? And I think that the more you hear those things, the more you believe those things.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's all about like working through our identity like all the time, you know? And I think my boyfriend now is so good at that, of being like, don't worry about it. Like, like what did you learn about from it? Like, you know, how can you be better from it? But like, not that you're gonna sit here and like dwell on it and think that this affects you and who you are and it changes you. You know, like
Yeah.
this doesn't define you.
I feel like sometimes I struggle with that. Like little
Yeah.
things I do, I'm like, damn, bro. Fuck. Now people are gonna think of me like this. Even though like first impressions do matter though, in my opinion. Like especially like that's why like I want to get better at like being more friendly and like not being so, because
You are
sometimes.
so friendly.
But like when it like
Yeah.
I'm
with,
confused.
when I'm comfortable with somebody, like
I know what you mean.
when I'm like around new people and stuff like
Okay.
that, it's very hard for me.
Well,
to
it's
show that.
intimidating as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause-
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, but I think it comes from like me caring so much about what people think. And, like I try to. That's like the
Yeah.
number one thing I try to work on. Like not caring what people think.
Like perception of you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess my perception, and sometimes my quietness comes off as like dickheadish. You know what I mean? Like not to say this, for lack of better
Yeah.
words. You can blurt it out because
Yeah.
I feel like it'll mess up the algorithm. But yeah, I'm so serious. But
No, I think everyone does though. I
Yeah.
think everyone cares about their reputation, right?
course.
And to a certain extent, like we do have to carry ourselves in the way that we want people to see us, but at the same time, like you're giving people the power to define you and the
Yeah.
power to like define who you are. And so I don't know, it's hard to kind of see that and to know that like I'm just handing somebody else this power of
Yeah.
like what you say about me matters more of like than what I say about
me.
you.
Yeah.
You know?
So one question for me, selfish question. How do you selfish question. How do you deal with anxiety? Or like, what would be like your advice? Like, I guess for me, like in the sense of like sometimes I'll have anxiety in situations where I feel like I shouldn't. Like it would be like super. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it gets triggered, and I
exactly.
get that. I think for me, the gym is, and which I know you do, so check. The gym for me is like a huge anxiety reliever. I think being around people who I know comfort me. So if I really need to, like, I will go see my family, or like I'll go hang out with my friends, or I'll call them, or like I just need people who are gonna speak life over me and who are gonna talk me through it. Or like my home has become like my safe space, where like before, like I just wanted to be out and about. So that's a lot to say about me, because I was the type that I'm gonna go run an errands. Like I'm not doing this by myself. Like who's coming with me?
Yeah.
You know. And now that I'm like, no, like I need my space. Like I need my alone time. Like everybody needs a safe space where they know, like, this is my ground, like this is like my territory. I know I can feel grounded here. I know I can feel safe here. I know I'm not judged here. You know, and like for me, that's my house. But if that looks differently for anybody, like maybe your walks with Mandy.
Yeah,
true.
Bro, I feel like we're getting old, bro. Cause the more that time that passes, I'm like, yo, I'm good staying home. Like, I'm like, fuck going out, bro.
We don't. Honestly, like us as a group, like we don't go out. Like
we used to go out.
Yeah, we used. Bro,
and it was bad. It was bad.
Back when you would see us at bar crawls, I
Yeah.
think we were doing those like every week.
Yeah.
Our own bar crawls, like
like it wasn't even one event. It was like
literally
we're gonna hit up these.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yo, like I'm good. Y'all want to do a barbecue? Like something,
Yeah.
something chill. Like,
Y'all want to watch a movie at my house?
Yeah,
Like,
type,
something
yeah.
like-
Yeah, literally.
Oh, yeah,
we just
literally,
do
we'll
movie
watch
night. Yeah. That's like our that's our crazy night out. Like,
like,
movie night.
Yeah, we
sports
are
girl and
getting old.
movies.
Definitely getting old.
But it's just definitely a vibe. But like, how much time do we have left?
we got time for like one more question.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna
Oh,
ask.
by fast.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you should do your
That's what I'm
own.
saying. Like when you get into it, like
So-
kind of.
This is good.
Let me. All right, we'll do two because I want to leave some time for like a closing statement. But like,
okay.
what would you say at this point is your goals, either personally or professionally, or both? Like at this stage of life where you are right now.
Yeah. So professionally, I'm working on my licensure now, because Florida like makes you work for 2
Yeah.
years. So that finally my 2 years are up in May. So that's when I'm taking my board exam, and then I'll officially be licensed. And I know my dream was always to open my own practice. And so right now where I'm at, I feel like I'm kind of living that dream.
Yeah.
Not that it's my practice, but I feel like the way that I'm treated and like the opportunity that I'm given is so like God given, because
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like I'm doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I would love to like open a second one of that, like a location somewhere else, right? And I feel like personally, I'm being called to more and more of like shining the light for kids, like the younger kids. So I've been like volunteering and serving at church, like with the kids. But I feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe starting like a mentor program, or like I don't know what that's gonna look like.
Yeah.
And I think God will make it more clear as they go, because He knows I'm very much of like one thing at a time, dude. Because
Yeah.
if not, like I can't see the bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so like right now I'm
Yeah.
like very much like get your license, and then we'll figure out the next step.
Well, I mean, I want to just open up the floor for any like just closing thoughts or any messages you want to like kind of like leave people who might be watching this with, like anything you might have in terms of like people like go to therapy or like anything. Like
No, I think the most important thing is like everyone has value, you
Yeah.
know, and everyone has something to offer, and everyone is unique. And I think just embracing that, you know, and like shining the light of who you truly are is important in a society where everybody thinks like you have to look a certain way or put on a certain mask or like meet certain expectations, or
Yeah.
like, you know, like on Instagram, like you're just watching everyone's highlight reel, and I know the thoughts of like, wow, this person's life is better than mine, or like, wow, they're doing better than I am. Like, why don't I look like that? You know, like, and especially now with influencers and everybody,
Yeah.
you know, like, it's just, it can be really hard, and I think that's where a lot of confusion with identity kicks in, you know. And I think the more we can embrace who we truly are, not what we feel maybe we have to do or have
Yeah.
to look like or have to embrace or have to think like, I think is the most important thing. That's what I see the most, like stuff with like confusion.
Now that
of
you
who
said
you are.
influencers, like, you thought of one question. Like, what's your opinion? Like, is it more pros or cons with social media?
It's both. I think it depends on how you use it,
Yeah.
right? Like that's with anything, you
Yeah.
know. Like the gym can be great, but if you're like addicted to the gym or you're doing it for the wrong reason, like that could be bad.
Yeah,
Like we
true.
turn a healthy thing into unhealthy
Yeah.
really quick. Drinking too much water is bad for you. Like anything
die.
in excess
Yeah,
is
you can
bad.
die,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's a matter of like, what are you using it for? Like, are you using it to seek validation? Like, are you using it to fill a void that's not being filled somewhere else? Like, what are you using the social media for? And I think it's a great platform of like advertising and like putting
Yeah.
yourself out there and reaching people that you wouldn't be able to reach anywhere else. Like if I can't just go walk down the street and talk to people, like I could, but I'm not going to
Right.
reach as many people
Yeah.
as I do on Instagram,
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So for that, it's good. But then in terms of like, what am I getting from this information and how am I analyzing it and how am I applying it to myself? Like, is it in a healthy way or is it to tear myself down?
Yeah. I recently went through a cleanse. I was like, because I saw somebody post something that I was like, bro, this is so stupid. It kind of bothered me, and then I realized I'm like, why do I follow this person? Like,
Like you make your timeline, Brandon.
yeah, I was like, you literally can choose what you want to
Yeah.
feed
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So I was like, I went through an entire cleanse. I was like, I took
Good,
off
yeah.
people either like I don't talk to anymore
Yeah.
or that are like just irrelevant.
I heard this thing where it said like don't have people on social media if you wouldn't say hi to them at a grocery
Yeah.
store.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Damn,
like,
that's-
whoa.
Which do you ever like run into people from high school? You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh wow.
Happens to me on my job all the time.
At that moment, you're like, unfriend.
You're like, oh, that's right.
I remember that lesson. Oh, yeah. I didn't say hi to them.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I guess I appreciate you.
Yeah, we
for
appreciate you
coming.
I appreciate
for coming
you
on.
guys.
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on, and I hope people got like I know I went on like rants.
This was a therapy
We
session
all
for
Yeah,
did.
us.
it's super
We-
therapy.
No, we sat down today with a
Yeah,
therapist.
we
And-
should pay you after this.
We actually owe you.
Send him the invoice.
invoice?
And then I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah. And I don't know who else to send it to.
No, I appreciate you.
Send
Send
to
it
Ray.
Ray. Send it Ray.
But
But,
yeah, we appreciate you coming on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
you guys.
Well, yeah. If you like this episode, obviously you did. You stayed this long. Where can they find you? Or I mean, where would you like them to go to? It
I
could
mean,
be
I
anywhere.
have my Instagram,
Your-
which I can give you guys the tag.
For
later.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right.
But we appreciate you guys for watching, for listening. Remember, you can get this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. YouTube Podcast now is coming out.
Yeah, true.
Um,
YouTube Shorts.
YouTube
That's
Shorts,
so cool.
TikTok. But if you see me in the street, say hi.
Yeah.
Brandon, if you see him in the gym, go work out with him. And we love you
yeah.
guys. We appreciate you guys. And we'll see you guys next time.
Boom.
Wow.
It goes by fast.
That wasn't too bad. I feel like that was good.